Today we are making Mortgage Repayment Calculator app, and it is a part of a Frontend Mentor challenge. And I'm doing lots of challenges lately. I hope you don't mind. For me, they are very fun. And of course, I always recommend going to the frontendmentor.io and try doing some of the challenges. This is the desktop design of our app. This is the mobile design. And of course, we are gonna make our app fully functional, meaning that it will give us monthly repayments and also the total mortgage repayment. And we are doing it with reactjs. Let's get started. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Now this is where we will start. As you can see, my app is styled completely, and I also finished the styling for the desktop, but it is not functional at all. We are going to work on the functionality together. And on the left hand side you can see my React components. My whole app components is has three components. This is the form component. This is basically all of the white space here. It's the complete form, including this submit button. Then I have empty results. This is this part here, and for now I have a completed results commented. These two will be switching depending on whether or not our form is submitted. And let me quickly show you. If I comment this and uncomment this, this is the complete results. This is the result we are going to get after we calculate our mortgage. Of course, these are just hard-coded values. I did that for the purpose of styling, and don't worry, as always, you will have access to the complete files in the public GitHub repo, and also I will have a link in the description to the live website. Okay, let's turn this back as it was, and let's start working on our functionality. We're going to start on getting the values from our input fields. As you can see, I have three input fields which are type number, and then I have two radio buttons. Okay, so let's get started on capturing our users inputs. Okay, I will have one piece of state for all of our inputs, and then I will have one function for handling changes to our state. So if you watched some of my previous videos, it should appear up here. With our previous Frontend Mentor challenge, we did the same thing. So here I can do that above our component function. I will define a constant with initial values, and this is an object with amount, film, term, rate, and type. And initially all of them are empty strings. Okay, so here I will define a piece of state. I will say let's say values and set values, and this will be use state, which of course must be imported from React, and I will pass my initial values object to my state. Okay, and then I will have a function called handle changes, and this function will have event object as an argument. And what this function will do, it will set values, and I will have my previous state, and my function should return an object with I will copy all of the previous state fields, and I will only change the field that's currently being changed by the user. But how can I do that? As you can see, these keys in my object are I picked the same keys as my names of my input. For example, here the name is amount and I have a key amount. So I will use that. So I will only change e.target.name key and only I will change that to e.target.value, which will be the value user entered. But as you can see, my editor is going crazy because I cannot do this something like this here. I need to have this inside square brackets like this. So to recap what we are doing, we will bind this function to onChange event on each and every input. So it will copy out every other field and only change the field that has the same name as e.target.name. Only that key here in our object will be changed, and it will, instead of empty string, the value of that key will be the value user entered. Okay, now we need to bind our values and our function to all of our input fields. So here is my amount input field. I will say value will be values object, and I will access amount key. And then for onChange prop, I need handle changes, just like that. Now I will do that for every other input. Okay, these are two radio buttons, and for these buttons the situation is a little bit different. I already have the value here, so instead of value this will be checked property, and I will be checking if values that the name is type. So if values that type is triple equals to this, this is the value. So when I check this one, my value will be repayment. That value will be stored here in type, and now I will control if this button is checked. It will be checked if values that type is equal repayment. And I will do something very similar for the next radio button. Where it is? Here it is. Prettier is messing up with me. This will be checked if interest only is the value. Okay, let's save this, and with that we have our values in place, and we have a handle changes, the function that will update our state. Okay, that's only the first part of our work. Now we need to have some validation. All of the fields are mandatory, including radio buttons. Here I already have my error message paragraph saying this field is required, but this is hidden with my CSS. It has a display of none, that's why we cannot see it here. Okay, so we need to make a function that will be in charge of validation, and this function will be checking if our fields are empty. Okay, so let's create that function now, but we are also gonna need a new piece of state that will control whether or not we have errors, so we can update our UI. So I will say errors and set errors, which will be use state, and initially it will be an empty object. Okay, so let's, under our handle changes function, let's create a function called validate, and what this function will do, we will define new errors constant, which will be an empty object. Let's take care of the possible errors. We will do an if check, and if we will check if we don't have values that amount. We need to do that for each and every field, because we need to handle errors of each and every field. Okay, so if we don't have anything in our errors values that amount, we will add a new key in our object. So we will say new errors that amount. This will be a string saying this field is required. Now I will do that for all my other fields. I have a term, and then I have values that rate, and then I have values that type. Okay, so now for each if any of our input fields is not correct, I will push a new error in our object keys, and then this function will return this object. Okay, now let's take care of the validation. We can do that on every keystroke here, or even on blur, but for the simplicity's sake, we are gonna only validate our inputs on the form submission. So therefore, let's get started with the form submission. Okay, let's work on now on form submission. So I will create a brand new function called handle submit, and I will bind this function to our form, of course, with on submit event. I will be calling handle submit. Okay, as always we do on the front end side, we need to prevent the default behavior of our form. By calling e.preventDefault. Okay, and now let's check if we have errors, because if we have errors, we cannot submit our form. And of course, this function is in charge of checking that. So let's execute this function. Let's define the constant new errors. Don't get confused, it's the same name, but these are scoped locally, so I can do that. So I will execute validate function, and I will get new errors. Now I need to check if we have errors. This will return this object. Now I need to check if we have something in this object. How should we check that? Of course, this is not an array, but we are gonna turn it into array. I hope you remember we did that in some of our previous episodes. We will say if object.keys, and the object we are checking is new errors. So now on that I can access the length. And I will say if the length is greater than 0. That will mean that we have at least one error. Okay, if that's the case, then I will update our set errors, our error state with the set errors, and to that I will pass our new errors object. Okay, this will stop our form from a submission. We will not have our completed results here. if that's the case. So we will only have that in the else statement, meaning that we don't have errors. Then I will empty my error state again, put it back to an empty object, and for now we will just console log our values. Okay, let's console log the whole object. Okay, let's save that and test if we were successful. Okay, I will save this. I will open our console. Okay, here is our console. Okay, and if I try to submit an empty form, you see nothing is being logged to my console. But if we, let's say 300,000, 25 years, 5.25 interest rate. Let's try it again. Okay, nothing still because I haven't checked my radio button, but if I checked radio button, now you see I'm having my object logged to the console with all of the fields I need. I have amount, rate, term, and the type of our mortgage. Excellent. Amazing. Okay, now we need to take care of the calculation logic. We need to calculate the monthly payment and total repayment, and then we need to take care of the switching between these two components, if you remember from the beginning. Okay, so let's start working on that. Alrighty, this is the mortgage payment equation. This is what we will use to calculate our mortgage, and I hope you have an idea what's going on here. Believe me, I do, because I have a bachelor in economics, so I have a clue what's going on here. This is the basic equation for calculating not only mortgage but any loan from the bank, in fact. Okay, and this is that. Let me hit all these. So this is that formula written with JavaScript. Okay, so we have again p times this is all of this until is top part of our equation, and this down here is the bottom part of our equation. Okay, so now I only need to make sense of these letters. So what's the P, what's I, and what's N. Okay, for that I will expect that I exported this function in a separate file, so I will be using this function inside our components. Okay, so I will expect our function to have some argument. First will be amount. Of course, this is what we will get from our form. This is what user will enter. This is the amount right here. Then I will expect to get term in years, and then finally I will expect to get the rate. Okay, so what is what here in our formula? I will define constants for each and every letter. So our P is let us check again. This is basically a loan amount, so this is the amount we are passing to our function. Okay, then we will have a constant I, and this, what is that? It says monthly interest rate. Okay, but here our interest rate is in the percentages, and it is not monthly but yearly. So I will get our rate that we have here, and first I will divide it by 100 to get the decimal number, not percentage, and then finally I will divide it by 12 to get the monthly rate, because we have 12 months, of course. And finally, our n will be what? Let us check. N is a number of months, so it will be the term times 12, because we are capturing our mortgage term in years. We need to multiply it by 12. Okay, so with that we have all we need for our formula, and now we are able to get our monthly payment constant. And now I just need, I will define a new constant called total repayment. And this will be, of course, our monthly payment multiplied by what? By n, by our term in months. Okay, and finally our function should return both of these constants. It will return monthly payment and also a total repayment. This I made an object with the same keys, the same key value pairs. So the name is the same for our key and our constant. That's why I can shorten like this. Alrighty, let's save all of that, and now our loan.js file contains a finished calculate loan payment function, and this function I will use in our components to calculate the mortgage.